Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Cookiecast. Today on Cookiecast, we're doing our wrestling podcast, which is fast becoming a thing. We're basically reviewing and previewing the pay-per-views. So, it's our newest and fastest growing podcast. As you'll see in the episode, the boys themselves have decided that they're going to go with a name, and I think you'll agree it's quite a cool name. So I'm not going to mention what the name is now, but I might do it at the end, and then it'll have its title and stuff, but at least you can see the progression of where the name comes from. So for now, this is the Cookiecast Wrestling Podcast, so check this out. After you, sir.
No, sir. After me. Oh, sorry. Okay.
How about you?
Tits. Bastard.
Oh! Man down. Oh. Taking an injury.
Cramp right in the middle of me foot.
Torn ACL, out for the season. No?
Welcome. So, first piece of business, we've got a name for the podcast.
So this was raised with me earlier. Did you check that one?
Yeah, it's flashing.
No.
Oh, the setup of it, yeah. It's got the whole...
So this was a conversation from a few days ago, and I was like, what's wrong with the original name?
Was it just called Wrestling Podcast?
No.
What was it called?
It might have been called Wrestling Podcast. But I'm sure the last episode was Let's Get Ready to Rumble.
Well...
We talked about this, didn't we?
You'd said about potentially calling it the Royal Ramble, which I did quite like. I thought that was good.
But
it's limited.
Stu then raised the interesting point that it only really has relevance to one pay-per-view a year.
Yeah. So we said about Grapscast as well, haven't we?
So grapple, base something like that. And then I suggested one that was a bit more knobby in the sort of, it's a bit more like in the know, like it's using the vernacular sort of that. So I suggested
the fact he did this, YouTube watchers, and said knobby at the same time.
For you listeners, I can't even think how to begin.
Bit of a backhander move, something like that. I suggested the name Getting Over. So it'd be like Cookiecast presents Getting Over.
So I actually know what that means.
Ooh! Excellent.
This man's done his research.
This man is in the ball.
Pretty sure I saw... what the hell is it called? The something of Jake the Snake. The
Resurrection.
I'm pretty sure I saw that before you.
I'm annoyed. I want that to be back on Netflix because I want to watch it again.
Has it gone off?
Yeah, they took it off. I actually listened to a podcast that DDP did with
Jericho on the Cruise?
Something like that. No, I think this was earlier than that because it was already off by that point. Might have been JR, could have been Austin, to be honest. And he said that they'd taken it off Netflix and put it on...
Don't say Hulu.
It was either Prime or Hulu, and I think it was Hulu.
If it's Prime, that's okay. If it's Hulu, it's like way to make your market smaller because we don't have Hulu in this country.
Is that true? Can we not get it?
I imagine we can probably get it because at the end of the day, it's an internet-based service, and I can't imagine it really matters where you are.
Yeah.
But why would you?
It's just making it more difficult, isn't it? Because you have to go like VPN route and stuff like that.
But I was listening to a podcast yesterday that was saying because you know that Disney's launching their own streaming service and DC have got
that's going to end well.
Taking
over the world.
So officially, no more Disney or Marvel films will go onto Netflix as of now. So Captain Marvel is the first film that will not go to Netflix. It will go to the Disney streaming service.
But not all of the Marvel films have gone on to Netflix.
No, there's only so many. So the conversation was, for people who've got a little bit of wedge,
not an issue.
Don't bother you, does it? It's like, well, I'll just get this stream service and that stream service. You know, it baffles me, like people who pay for Sky Like at one point, I imagine you both have Sky, but at one point, we looked into Sky for some random reason, and the person said it with a straight face when they were like, "So that's £70 a month," and I was like, "No, it fucking isn't."
Steady on, Big Turpin, yeah.
It certainly is not, because that's astronomical amount of money.
To be verging on the
and I'm pretty
realm,
sure that's one of the lower tiers as well.
To be verging on the realms of veering off massively already. We've mentioned the name for the wrestling podcast and gone completely the way. We're coming up to that magical time of year where we have to have the old song and dance with Sky, where it comes up for renewal. You ring them up and say, "What's the best deal?" "Oh, double your price." "No, it's not. We'll cancel it." And then they ring your house every day for 2 weeks, and then it gets to the day that your contract's going to expire and your notice is going to expire, and you ring them up and you say, "Right, give me it for the same price I had it last year," and they go, "All right." And we've had to do this every time, but the package, which is £70 plus, we have the movies, we have the sports, and like the normal entertainment thing, and ours costs us £40, and it's been the same every year for the last 3 years. But we use it. We use it for the wrestling. We use it for the boys. So we don't, because we have the kids as well. It's not like we're out every week. So it's worth.
Yeah. I mean,
to me anyway.
I know my sister's got like all the often like when I go to my sister's and stuff, there's like she'll have the TV on and it's Sky, and then this movie's on at this time, then you change the channel, different movie channel, different movie. And for that side of things, it's useful and stuff. I mean, as a rule, I don't watch TV. I have Netflix, and I was talking about this. I nearly cancelled my Netflix subscription because I was all about the Amazon Prime, and I think we talked about the fact that I'd been watching like Jim Carter and stuff, and now I haven't put Prime on for months. And the only thing I've watched is Netflix, and I got to a point where I was like, I can't do this anymore. So I don't really watch anything unless it's something that really interests me. So working it backwards, is that the name you're going with, or was that one of the options?
I think that was the best one we've come up with. I think so.
So for Cookiecast presents Getting Over. If we come up with something better in the intervening months, or if you guys can think of anything better.
So that I don't fuck it up, do you want to explain for the casual wrestler?
What casual wrestling fan?
Yeah. What does getting over mean?
Getting over is when a wrestler tries to establish their character with the fan base. So the fans are invested, whether it's a heel or a babyface or good guy, bad guy. Obviously, I got that the opposite way around. But it's basically becoming established. So if you've been listening along, which we hope you have, then obviously you'll know we're quite a relatively new wrestling podcast. So I guess the aim is getting over.
Boom. There you go.
Now then.
So it's double, so it's twofold. It's a name and it's
our intention. It's our mission statement. Hey!
Oh my god! It's gone GCSE business studies all over again.
As far as getting over is concerned, I think I recommended it to you about 50 times. Bigger, Stronger, Faster.
Yeah, it keeps coming up on Netflix, and I keep thinking,
honestly, watch it. So, Bigger, Stronger, Faster for
Mark Bell,
the Bell brothers, basically. So the eldest had the issue that all he wanted. The only thing he wanted was to be in what was then the WWF. And went off to be a WWF wrestler. And he was the matches where it's big name wrestler versus guy you've never heard of.
Enhancement talent.
He was guy you've never heard of, and he used to go out there as all different names and different characters and this, that and the other. But never got over. And yeah, he chased that dream forever. And he was one of these, like, not quite backyard, but like a local wrestler.
Indie wrestler.
They did like promos and stuff, and when you watch it, it's like they're pretty bad and stuff, but that was his dream, that was his thing, and it's heartbreaking to watch, because obviously not wanting to spoil anything, but it doesn't
end well.
End well.
Did it have a?
There's a sequel.
Did it have a feeling of The Wrestler to it? If you've seen that.
I mean, The Wrestler is.
Have you seen The Wrestler?
The Wrestler's heartbreaking on a multitude of different levels.
It's a very strange film.
It is. I mean, it's good film and stuff. Well, I mean, the problem you've got is that's not what that documentary is about. What that documentary is about is steroids. Steroids and steroid abuse. And then the sequel is about how there are worse things in this world than steroids. Both.
They're glorifying it slightly, or?
Well, there's this thing where they're like, you know, are steroids really that bad? One group of people says they're terrible, they're awful, you know, and another group of people say, are they the worst thing? And that's how it's split. So he goes out into the world, into the community and stuff, and he's got a brother who's like well and truly into steroids. He's got a brother who wants to be a wrestler, and he himself is like, you know, he's a big bodybuilder. So I think he wears like Gold's Gym and stuff. And he just went to talk to doctors and ex-wrestlers and, you know, people who are like, so, you know, steroids, UFC fighters. He just everywhere just to try and get a proper cross section of. And by the end, there's no answer. There is no answer at the end. There are things where he goes off to talk to like fitness models and stuff. It's like, you're selling this protein powder. He's like, yeah. And you use this protein powder. Yeah. And you use steroids. It's like, yeah. It's like, but you're telling people that if they take this protein powder, they'll look like you. And he's like, no, I'm not. Nobody's that stupid. So there's that sort of thing. Yeah. But by the end, there's no definitive answer. But the sequel is... So, steroids, probably not the worst thing out there in the world. The worst thing in the world is prescription drugs. Prescription drugs are 10,000 times worse and kill 10,000 more people than steroids ever would. So, both very... Bigger, Stronger, Faster and Prescription Thugs is the sequel. So, yeah, that's my getting over story. That and the Jay the Snake. For
a kind of quite heavy like topic, that is a very puntastic sequel name. I quite enjoyed that when you said that.
Prescription Thugs.
It's good, isn't it?
Yeah, it's good.
I think there might be another one. I'm not sure. But that's basically the job that he then became, because he went from like big to and his brother, his youngest brother, is very big in the like fitness world.
So from what might have been for him as his career to what just has been, because it's time to review Elimination Chamber. Seamless. So, on the last podcast, we talked about the Elimination Chamber and what we thought would happen. So, I'm really looking forward to hearing Paul's reaction to who scored the most this time. Unfortunately, we did mention at the beginning of the last podcast that Mr. Moore wouldn't be with us, and as you can probably tell by now, he's not here for this one. Poor lad's not very well, so
still on the ban, isn't he?
He's not on the ban this week. I think he had all intention to come, and he's not well.
So,
under weather.
Get well soon, Mr. Moore.
Yes.
However, last time I didn't manage to get his predictions for Elimination Chamber as I promised I would, mainly due to the fact that we were making a beer that weekend and completely forgot. But I have got his predictions for this week. So
it's making a beer. Did that involve a lot of testing?
We made a beer and then drank a lot of beer afterwards. So quality control, people. Anyway, so matches from last time round, as per normal, kicked off with the kickoff. The Cruiserweight title, everybody had Buddy Murphy to win. Buddy Murphy did win. The SmackDown Tag Team titles, in probably what is the strangest storyline at the moment, Shane and The Miz lost the titles to the Usos. I have no idea what is going on with that.
At the time of recording, had one of the Usos been arrested?
Yes.
Had he?
Yes, because it was at the weekend and we recorded on the Tuesday.
Right, okay.
because I think we possibly might have made the Welcome to the Usos penitentiary. He got one of the Usos was arrested
So
for
lost on him.
DUI. Except for it was his wife that got pulled over, and then he thought it was a great idea to start on a policeman whilst the car smelled of alcohol. The Raw Women's title match, which was kind of the forgotten match of the pay-per-view, with Ronda Rousey versus Ruby Riott. I don't think we were given any extra points, but Andy and Paul both suggested that match would go under 3 minutes. I think the official time was somewhere around 1 minute 40. So
seriously, coming out of that pay-per-view, the Ruby Riott must have just been like sat there just thinking, what the fuck have I just done?
So as
what was the point? Well, there was absolutely no point in them having that match.
well, no, the point was what came after.
Yeah, I suppose.
So as I've mentioned previously on said podcast, a long story, probably not one for this podcast. I use iGen for a lot of things. They told me today that there was that new Brightburn trailer, which again, check that out. That was super cool. And I get some wrestling info because obviously like doing my research.
Of course.
I'll come to that later. So I actually saw the outcome of all the matches, and when I saw that, I was like, "Yeah, gotta go on that one." But yeah, they were very much like this. Went for 1 minute 40.
It was a very pointless match.
I would suggest at this point that Ronda Rousey has stammered during her promos for longer than that match happened, like it actually was taking place.
Yeah, she's not. Ironically enough, she's not getting over on the mic.
Well, we'll come to that. We'll come to this week's Raw
Ah.
very shortly. So that everybody said Rousey.
If only I had something that I could add to this week's Raw.
Oh, look at that little smug face.
It's one of those. I honestly don't know if I do, but I saw something. I know it was Raw based. I have got comments to pass on a certain subject.
The women's elimination chamber for the new women's tag team titles was won by the Boss and Hook Connection.
Was I very close to getting that right?
No, because nobody.
No,
got it
because
right.
you went with
Somebody else.
You picked a different tag team.
The only way that you could have been close is if you'd have picked one from their team. Yeah, but did they win?
They were the last team eliminated.
So didn't win then.
This is bullshit.
In what? I'll leave the title match to last. Strowman versus Corbin did not go the way that we thought, because Corbin won through nefarious means. And seems to have formed a little group with McIntyre and Lashley, which for Corbin probably keeps him in a job. Shit bastard. But to me, it feels like it's demoting McIntyre. He can do so much better than that.
It seems as though they've just sort of panicked. They can't think of anything to do with particular people, and they've just sort of thought, standard, it's WrestleMania season. We need to get as many people on the card as possible. If we can't think of anything to do, we'll throw them together in a faction. We'll give them a stupid name like the Holy Trinity or something like that.
They've not given them a name yet, have they?
They probably will at some point. It'll be something like the
Corbin and his bitches.
It'll be like, well, they'll probably base it on the Scottish psychopath that they're doing for McIntyre, and it'll be like the psychopathic bitch slappers or something ridiculous like that. They'll be given a stupid name.
Knowing what we know now, obviously hindsight would have been a wonderful thing at the time.
Hindsight's 2020.
But Mr. Roman Reigns, the big dog, is back in the house.
One of the things I was going to mention.
Reformed the Shield this week. So
he did.
Three-man team just happens to appear at the time a three-man team appears. So that will come to that for Fastlane.
But I was going to say that's the thing. It can't go any further than that because one of the three has a rather important match at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
So Roman Reigns has returned with the announcement that cancer. Fuck cancer.
I think the official quote was, "I'm in remission,
y'all."
I believe that was
Y''ALL. Y'all.
I saw a video as we know, I get all of my information from YouTube videos.
On the YouTubes.
On the YouTubes. Where you can find the Cookiecast.
You absolutely can. Can you find the Cookiecast Presents Getting?
As of this week, yes. There was a tank. Now, I don't think it was current. I think it was from
WrestleMania 31?
maybe, but there was Roman Reigns, there was a tank, there was... No?
Tank with Roman Reigns?
No?
The only tank I can remember in the last
Rusev.
5 years was Rusev's entrance to WrestleMania 31 in his match against John Cena.
The other
I might have dreamt it.
the other tank, and I'm using the air quotes for the listeners, was the Jeep that they stuck a tube on and called it a tank when it was the DX version.
Yeah, I didn't get that.
I've got a tank. No, it's just the poster tube on the back of a Jeep. So
Now I'm worried that I dreamt it and I've just,
so the Intercontinental title match was also Elimination Chamber, which was Balor versus Lio Rush and Bobby Lashley, which I am
Big time fail on this one.
very happy to report, hence the old t-shirt tonight, that Finn Balor is the new Intercontinental Champion, and rightly so.
Yeah, rightly so, but not rightly so.
Why so?
He's
Rightly so, why so?
he should be in the main event picture for me.
He should, but if they haven't got room for him...
But
at the
they've
moment-
they've totally dropped the ball with him, like, because they've had the ready-made story ever since he came back from injury of he wants to fight for the title he never lost. You can't just give him one match against Brock Lesnar and then just totally forget about it.
I think they'll come back to this, because if ultimately down the road somewhere Seth Rollins takes the Universal title, they'll come back to Balor Rollins where it all
You would
started.
hope so.
Now, as two big wrestling fans, obviously I don't
Is that
want,
you two?
I don't want to be the guy that says the Shield arrive in tank, tribute to the troops, 2013.
Nobody watches tribute to the troops.
2013? Jesus Christ.
Nobody watches tribute
That's
to the
right,
troops.
so that
Unless
I
you're,
said-
unless
that
you're a
was
troop.
current.
2013, that's even older than the Rusev tank.
Just saying, I saw a
Was that
video
in
where they were in a
2015?
tank.
And then the main event from the Elimination Chamber was the title match, which was brilliant, as predicted. Really good match. And the one thing that we didn't talk about last time, because it hadn't happened when we recorded, was that we kind of knew that Mustafa Ali was out of that match due to an injury. Turns out the injury was concussion, and obviously was kept off for a few weeks. But in his place, of all people that could possibly have received this push, Kofi Kingston steps up and has an absolute worldy couple of weeks against Daniel Bryan, and almost wins the big one in the Chamber.
So the day of Elimination Chamber, I end up on the YouTubes watching a video going, "What am I looking into the future right now?" This was only after watching it, because I'm like, "Oh, this must be it. This is like they've put it on YouTube," and I was watching it. I was like, "No, because it's today, and I'm watching this at 11 o'clock at night, so it hasn't happened yet." So I think it was like an older one. That was the other thing, because it was still the chains, and you said that they'd changed the chains
On the floor.
round the chamber.
So the differences are, it
depends.
depends whether it was a circle that you were watching or whether it was a square one.
It was a square one.
So that is the new chamber. And they've changed the flooring so that it's not chains on the floor. It looks like it's either padding or like some form.
It used to be like an iron grill.
This was
Yeah.
still chains, and like I say, I worked
Oh,
out
chains,
that it hadn't happened. So I was like, this can't be. This has to be like last year or something.
Right, okay.
It was really good what they did on SmackDown before Elimination Chamber with Kofi.
Mm.
He's been there for 11 years, never really had a shot at the big title.
Was that the thing where he had to fight everyone?
They
Yeah.
basically
I saw that.
Yeah.
They had a gauntlet match.
Yeah.
And he started 1 and 2 with Daniel Bryan, who currently is the champion, and pinned him first off, and then wrestled for over an hour.
Yeah.
Um,
Like I say, I saw like each of the matches and stuff.
So that was a really good way to set up the match, I thought, for Elimination Chamber. And they kind of did the same thing again in the Chamber, didn't they? In the fact that Kofi had an awesome showing, went right to the end, but just when it came to the big one, just couldn't quite win it. So, predictions-wise, well, Andy, you got 2 this time. I'm very happy to say Paul got 3. And I'm even happy to say that finally, for once, because I never bloody win these things, I got 4. Woo! So thanks to very very much thank you to Mr. Finn Balor for pulling your finger out, Phil. So that was the results from Elimination Chamber, and overall, thought it was a reasonable show.
It was good, yeah. I enjoyed it. It's same thing that always happens to me when I watch it. Basically, because I can never stay up to watch it live because it's always on too late. So normally I'll end up watching it the Monday after work. Unfortunately, because I play football on Mondays, I'm never normally back until after 9. So I have to start watching it at 9. So by the time the pay-per-view is getting to the end, so the main event, the thing you actually want to see the most,
Sleepy time.
I'm always falling asleep.
Sleepy time.
So I watched the entire thing. I think I fell asleep after the Elimination Chamber started. And I woke up again to see Kofi Kingston and Daniel Bryan having the last sort of throes of a battle. So that was kind of annoying.
So,
I mean, I could just go back and watch it, but there's not enough hours in the day, I'm sure.
So what happened following the Elimination Chamber, as we're on that match at the moment, is that the McMahons had said in the past they're going to listen to the fans, they're going to give the fans what they want. Kofi Kingston, you have the title match at Fastlane. As you can probably tell by Paul's sniggering, not going to happen. So
we're going to listen to the fans. I tell you something, you won't be seeing us every week on TV.
Oh, hi again. So Kofi Kingston gets put in the match at Fastlane for the title by Triple H and Stephanie. Vince says, no. So, but
what's going on with Vince's hair?
He's just an old dude. He's just trying to keep it real.
How old is he now? 70
plus.
So when he had the thing with Austin, he was 52, and that was 20 years ago. So he must be 72 now.
Well, he
still, and I'd tell you something. I bet you any money he's still
jacked.
6-7 hours in the gym each day.
Well, he has a gym at his office, doesn't he? So. But yeah, Vince McMahon, for me, has essentially pulled the same storyline almost with Charlotte and now with Kofi in the respect of he comes out and says, no.
Becky, you mean, and Kofi.
Okay. You're not having the title match. I'm gonna give it to Kevin Owens, and here comes the returning Kevin Owens, which most people were happy to see him. Me being one of them, big KO fan, but doing
very
it
similar physiques,
doing it in such a way.
Massive beards, obviously.
Yeah, Paul, if you grew a beard the size of Kevin Owens, we would be recording this about 10 years in the future.
10?
Oh, you think more than that?
Oh, massively so.
So they've put Kevin Owens in, but weirdly, Kevin Owens isn't a bad guy now in this situation. It's a very strange one. There's a cracking line on SmackDown this week from Daniel Bryan where he came out talking about how Kofi's been replaced in the match, but then says, don't actually want to talk about Kofi, it's pretty much about him, and was surprised that they've replaced the man who throws a large amount of pancakes into the audience with a man who eats a rather large amount of pancakes. So I did quite enjoy that line. Although, I also do enjoy pancakes, so fuck you, Daniel Bryan.
It's interesting though, because this is obviously the first. So Kevin Owens has now been in the company since, as a whole, since 2015. I think he signed for NXT.
Yeah, it was after. Yeah.
First time he's been a babyface. First time he's been a good guy. In the entire time he's been in the company. I mean, apart from the first sort of hour that he was on the first NXT show he was on.
It won't last. I'm putting that out there now.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. He's definitely a much better. He works much better as a heel, but I think there's a babyface running in.
Yeah, and definitely. It's good that they're putting a bit of variation in the character. It's not just
shows character development. You know.
So other things that have happened since then, and on SmackDown this week, we've had R-Truth as the United States champion since just after the Rumble. And he reinstated the Open Challenge, which was a John Cena thing. There's some class promos. R-Truth has been doing some good comedy work, and I'd recommend, if you haven't seen it, go and watch the promos because it is funny.
They are funny.
But in a bit of a shocker this week, the open challenge was answered by 3 people. So it turned into a fatal 4-way match between Truth, Samoa Joe, Andrade, because he's not an Almas anymore, who dropped his surname, and Rey Mysterio, which was won by Samoa Joe. So just weeks away from WrestleMania, and within the same week as Fastlane, we've got a new United States champion. So that was a bit of a surprise, but you can't argue that Samoa Joe doesn't deserve it, because he definitely needs a title, and it's his first singles title since making the main roster.
Another one of the guys who seems to have been criminally underbooked in the entire time he's been up on the main roster, for me anyway.
We've had the recent call-ups as well, which we've not talked about yet. So NXT have lost 4 people for the time being.
But have they?
Yeah,
because they're still on NXT. I don't understand. I'm assuming more is going to come out about that in the coming weeks.
Well, NXT is pre-recorded.
Yeah.
So they've got that bank to use up until they come to the fresh recording. They won't be there. Aleister Black has given his farewell address to an NXT live event, so I'd say he's definitely gone.
Okay.
But yeah, Aleister Black, Ricochet, Johnny Gargano, and Tommaso Ciampa all brought up, all made an impact, all wrestled on Raw and SmackDown since they got called up.
So that's 3 weeks in a row, isn't it, that they've wrestled on both shows.
We've had the news earlier that Tommaso Ciampa's got a neck injury, which is a big deal. They were going to try and keep him until after WrestleMania and then switch the title at TakeOver. Unfortunately, it's serious, so he's going to have to go for surgery this week. And the neck injuries are a big deal, because like an arm injury, leg injury, whatever, they tend to come back pretty much the same. Neck injury changes people's styles. I mean, Austin's a prime example.
They limit them so much past that point.
So I hope everything's alright with him, and just if he can come back to be 3/4 or half of the guy that he is at the moment, he'll still be fine. But yeah, just hope he gets a decent run when he does return. Throws up a few questions for TakeOver, but we'll cover that next time. Ready for WrestleMania.
I mean, for me, off the top of my head, there's only one person that can put it on.
Gargano.
No. Adam Cole.
Boom.
Yeah, I mean, it's the only thing that makes any sense to me, because he's the only guy who's sort of over enough, because in theory, I'd imagine that Gargano's coming up to the main roster, because he's been part of the 4. So, the only other person who's sort of at that level in NXT currently, other than Velveteen Dream maybe, but they've just put the North American Championship on him, would be Adam Cole.
I think it would throw up a few more question marks, because I think Gargano and Ciampa are more valuable to the main roster as a team at the moment.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And if one of them's now not there, will they still continue Gargano on the main roster, or will they keep him back in NXT? That's yet to be seen, so we'll see what comes of that.
Just you wait for the WrestleMania preview. That could be a long one.
We've had another surprising return on SmackDown this week. For the 975th time, Mr. Matthew Hardy is back.
I thought you were going to say the Big Show then.
No, I said 975th turn.
Fuck me.
But yeah, Matt Hardy's back, but he is back as the tag team with Jeff. But he's now become what seems to be like an amalgamation of all of his like gimmicks.
Previous personas.
So he came back dressed as Michael Hayes-esque, the Brood, Matt Hardy.
He looked like, from this week's show, it looked like he was wrestling in basically a velvet t-shirt.
Which is old. It's like, that's like 1998 Matt Hardy.
Oh yeah, big time.
So yeah, that was a surprise, because he retired allegedly with injury about 5 months ago or something like that. And he's back for another run, so hopefully that'll whatever he's aiming to achieve with this bit, he needs to get it out of his system, because I don't think he's got. If he gets one more injury, that's got to be.
Yeah, and the other thing that's come out of that is the fact that obviously he was in a tag team with Bray Wyatt at the time of his retirement. No one's heard or seen anything of Bray Wyatt for about 6 months.
Ooh, are you possibly suggesting another 3-man team might come out of it?
Oh, for fuck's... Right, okay. Oh, Jesus.
Um,
Oh, my God, they're not going to launch a 3-man tag belt, are they?
No, they won't do that.
Jesus.
They won't do that. Mandy Rose seems to be getting the push in the SmackDown Women's division. She's got the title match at Fastlane versus Asuka, who, for my money, will absolutely rip her to shreds.
Should do, but knowing that company, probably won't.
There was another promo on SmackDown this week as well, looking a bit further ahead. It's looking likely it's going to be Randy Orton versus AJ Styles at WrestleMania, which is a match I would quite happily watch. The line from Orton was great on this week's SmackDown, digging it massively. AJ's backstage talking about how it's unfair on Kofi, and Orton just drifts by and says, well, if you're so concerned about everybody else, there's no wonder it took you 15 years to get here. Worry about yourself, basically. So I quite enjoyed that. And then it was just the build for the title match then at the end with Owens and Bryan. So that was pretty much SmackDown this week, doing it in reverse order, seeing as Raw was obviously the Monday show. I feel like Fastlane has been thrown together massively.
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure on Sunday night there was maybe 3 or 4 of the matches that were made a week out from the pay-per-view, and then Monday, Tuesday they've just gone like, shit, we need the other half of the pay-per-view, and just chucked it all in. So Raw brought us some more matches. Raw was generally built around the Rousey, Charlotte, Becky issue again. The week before, Ronda laid the title down and said, if you're not going to give me the best in the division, I don't want to be part of it. And then they booked the match then because she'd vacated the title of Becky versus Charlotte at Fastlane for the vacant title. For Rousey to come back at the end of the show and said, "Oh, you've kept them in now. I'm going to get to fight the best. Give me my belt back." To which Stephanie McMahon didn't want to get her arm ripped off and just went, "Oh, there you go." But they've kept the Becky Charlotte match for Fastlane, having kicked Becky out on a suspension and kicked her out of the match that she earned by winning the Women's Royal Rumble.
Hang on a second. She keeps coming down to the ring on a crutch.
Yeah.
So is she cleared to wrestle or not? Storyline wise. This is where it doesn't make any sense.
On Monday they got her to sign in the story a hold harmless
agreement. I hate that phrase, hold harmless.
Why? It's a tool to further the story.
Absolute nonsense.
Well, the whole thing's nonsense if you want to get into it that way.
Let's really strip this one down.
That's where you get down to brass tacks.
It's still real to hold. So yeah, she signed a hold harmless agreement, so if she rips her leg off, then they can't do anything about it, basically. So yeah, if Becky wins against Charlotte on Sunday, she's back in the title match at WrestleMania.
Are we doing predictions yet?
They've thrown a Raw tag match together, so we mentioned the NXT call-ups. Ricochet and Aleister Black have beat the Revival, the current Raw Tag Team Champions, and then got a title match this Monday on Raw, which was then thrown out because Bobby Roode and Chad Gable came down and attacked the Revival, causing the disqualification. So they've put them into a match, all 3 teams, for a match for the tag team titles at Fastlane. So there's another match they just chucked in last minute. The Shield reformed, as we mentioned, and they're going to be against Lashley, Corbin and McIntyre, my favourite trio.
Well, 2/3 out that. You know, McIntyre's fine, and obviously Corbin's alright.
The first defence of the newly created Women's Tag Team Championships will happen this Sunday. The Boss and Hug Connection versus Nia and Tamina.
You know, the face breaker.
She's back.
Face breaker. Oh, God.
Are we discussing Hall of Fame announcements so far? So it starts off awesomely. They announced DX as the first attraction for the Hall of Fame this year.
Can't really argue with that one, you know, very sort of innovative, groundbreaking team, faction, group, whatever you want to call them.
Saved.
Influential to the company, changing into the new Attitude Era.
And as well, they've included China in that, which many people thought would never happen. So that's a good step forward. They then back that up with the Honky Tonk Man, longest reigning Intercontinental Champion of all time,
The greatest Intercontinental.
I said longest, I'll stick with that. And then they've gone this week with Tori Wilson. If they're doing it on wrestling ability,
it's shocking. Shocking.
Actual...
Seriously, treat yourself. Just try and find any Tori Wilson match. If it lasts longer than 6 minutes...
and doesn't involve some kind of crappy stipulation.
Or involve her getting her knocks out.
Not actually.
In some form or fashion. Seriously, when she was, and I use this term very, very loosely, wrestling, more often than not it was involved in bra and panty matches.
Mm.
Which obviously for a younger me, brilliant.
That's what you name them.
But for actual wrestling ability, she should be way towards the bottom of list of people that should be going in the Hall of Fame.
I think eventually there may have been an argument because she was part of the group that kept a female presence on the TV at the time when the women's wrestling was a bit downtrodden.
Yeah.
However, if you're going to stick people in from that era, why not Jazz?
Yeah.
Why not Victoria? Victoria, Lisa Marie Varon is the one that it should have been ahead of anybody else.
I mean, I know she's still wrestling, but Jesus Christ, put Mickie James in ahead of her. At least Mickie James can actually wrestle.
You'll get no arguments from me on that.
No.
So there wasn't really much else that happened on this week's Raw. However, the week before, Ric Flair's 70th birthday. Oh, there's a stretch of the hands from Mr. Cook over there.
Are we about to hit the Cook segment?
Carry on.
Go on, lad.
The return of Paul's teenage crush, Mr. Dave Bautista.
Indeed.
Drax the Destroyer.
Not only did he returned with a lovely, natty nose piercing.
He's always that.
He's had that. No, he has not.
So,
definitely.
You've both combined, touched on what I wanted to talk about. So, number one and number two. Number one, what the fuck is Batista doing back for? Do we not think he's got other things he could be doing with his time?
I can answer that one.
I mean, obviously, the Guardians issue. Yeah, there's the cha-ching, but there is the Guardians issue, so fair enough. And number two, what the fuck is that blue fucking nose piercing?
Right. I have an answer for this, and I think that's a bit of him. It's a bit of a backstage piss take, because when he came back 2014, he replaced Rey Mysterio. Was it? No. He won the Rumble when everybody wanted it to be Daniel Bryan, and he got booed out of the building. So it became not Batista, Batista. Then at one of the matches,
Extreme Rules, maybe.
It was in between Mania and Rumble, wasn't it? And he wore his first match back, I think, was all blue gear. So he got called Blue-tista. So the blue glass, because he had blue tinted glasses on as well, and the blue stud. So that's what the blue thing was about. And I think...
So is this off the back of... Because he's got some beef with Triple H.
So, it stems from...
Triple H is my other thing that I've seen.
It stemmed from the 1000th episode of SmackDown.
Which was back in October last year.
So they had it... Was it in Washington, DC?
No idea. Mr. Hometown Freak.
It's just because that's where he's from.
What time was it on? Was it on at 6?
What temperature was it in the
Hush
building?
now. Hush now. I think... I don't know. It's just because he... I don't know if it's because it was him, and obviously he's from Washington, DC. So I don't know. I might be getting that wrong. But so he turned up back on for SmackDown 1000, and they've had a Evolution reunion. So obviously that was Triple H, Ric Flair, Randy Orton, and Batista. So
Triple H then proceeded to.
They had an in-ring segment where they all got a chance to speak on the microphone. And then when it came on to Batista's turn, he basically talked up Randy Orton, how good a wrestler he was. He proved that they were right to put him in the group and stuff like that. He proved to be this diamond in the rough sort of thing that then came into his own and stuff like that.
And as well, it was a right shock on it. A third generation guy coming through to be a good wrestler. Who'd have thought?
Who would have thought that? That's surprising.
Is that him giving backhanded compliments to The Rock?
Why do you have to turn... I am sure it is your main mission in life to talk about that guy.
You just need to get over it.
There needs
You
to
need to
be
get over it, man. You need to recognise that he's a superstar.
a special edition of Getting Over about Paul's man crush on The Rock.
Well, make it, man. I can't have a man crush on him and Batista.
I'm not going to...
I would personally like to be on that episode.
I'm not going to mention the words triple threat, but you know.
Oh my god.
So great.
So,
I can't name one of the cats after him.
He's done. He's talked to Randy Orton. Moves on to Ric Flair. You know, groundbreaking. You know, set the scene for him to come into the business. Blah blah blah. You know, all his World Championship.
His World Cup win.
His World Cup appearances. Blah blah blah. His World Championship wins, etc. Moves on to Triple H. You know, great world champion. You've beaten everyone in the business, apart from me.
That brings me to...
Sets the tone.
But that brings me then... So, in the story now, they've gone with Batista attacks Ric Flair on his 70th birthday.
They did.
Have you got my attention now, Triple H? Or have I got your attention now?
Hmm?
Why is Batista the one that's chasing when he's the one that's not been beaten?
I don't know if it's because Triple H isn't an active wrestler anymore.
But it's the fact that it was the way they set it up. Because he's dragged that cameraman along with him. Like, follow me, come with me.
That was
Wait
the
there.
That was
Come
the
with me.
weirdest
Wait
thing about
there.
it. Obviously,
So
the
wait
way...
there while I go behind this door and make a load of noise and then drag Ric Flair out. But
I quite liked.
what's going on outside
I quite liked
was
it.
just fucking brilliant because basically there's the entire roster stood waiting for Ric Flair.
It was.
They're all in the ring and they're like.
I must admit, I thought it was well set up. I enjoyed it. I
Me
thought
too.
it was good. I thought it was well done.
And I don't think it's any coincidence that episode of Raw was significantly probably the best one there's been in a good few months, just after Bruce Pritchard comes back to the writing team. Paul obviously likes him too.
Excellent podcast each week.
But how much longer will they be doing that for?
They've said that the podcast is going to carry on. They're just going to have to scale back the live appearances that they do.
They're still doing a live show at WrestleMania because I heard that advertised on JR's.
Well, I think it's a case of anything that... Well, Vince has always said, hasn't he? Prior engagements that you've made prior to signing with the company, keep them. You know, I'm very much a... If you've made a commitment, you need to follow through on that.
Yeah, man of your word sort of thing.
And then, it's very important that if you've said you'll do something, you absolutely... That you follow through with that. Because if you're gonna do that to somebody else, what's the reason you're not going to do it to me? So exactly. I think he's very much... Well, you've already made that commitment. You very much have to stick to it. So he's good with that. So
those are the kind of the main storylines to come out of the last few
And
weeks.
I saw one. And I was like, this is current.
Batista, go.
Go where?
Oh, I thought you had more to add.
No.
It was just a what is that nose thing.
Yeah. So it was, why the fuck's he back and what the fuck's the deal with the nose?
So
which has all been answered.
He's already said, and he did interviews outside of the company where he said, "Do you want to come back?" One was maybe it was a podcast he was on with maybe Jim Ross, I think.
He's always said that the one he would come back for was
He
Triple
wants to,
H.
but he said that if he comes back, he doesn't just want to do the pay-per-views. He wants to come back. He wants to go on the road. He wants to do house shows.
Which then he didn't appear on the Raw after he came back.
I mean, obviously at this point in time, and I know this is cross-pollination, but it's still relevant, he will have done any filming and any scenes that he will have needed to have done for Avengers.
Well, you said the Guardians issue. What is that?
That's a big old can of worms.
So, funny that I just slipped in earlier. Brightburn.
Right.
Brightburn. Watch Brightburn trailer. Check it out. So we can go into this. It'll take a little while, but we can go into it if you want. The Guardians issue is James Gunn, who Guardians movies 1 and 2.
Writer of the third as well.
Okay.
Yeah, right. Wrote the third one. Everyone's ready. Let's do this. So they went, okay, cool. Let's just have a quick look through your Twitter background, shall we? So 10 years ago, he did a naughty on Twitter, like everybody does, apparently. Disney, being Disney, went, "Ooh, we don't like bad publicity. We don't, because obviously don't look in our closet."
I was going to say, is this the point where we don't talk about what
don't
they've
talk
done?
about our past at all or our founder. My opinion, and
Quite
Obviously,
literally
Family Guy
taking the
never.
mickey.
Obviously, Family Guy never mentioned it. So.
Oh no! See you at the game, Peter.
So they were like, you probably need to go. And a lot of people were up in arms. Namely,
Every single member of the cast.
Dave Bautista. Dave Bautista was one of the first people that came out to say, this is horse shit. Do we really have to go through this? And if he's not doing the movie, then I'm not doing the movie.
The main cast of like the actual Guardians released a joint statement about it, didn't they?
But he was like, he released his own statement here, and he was, if he's not doing the movie, I'm not doing the movie. And then the next day he went, I mean, obviously...
Contractually.
What I said was, if he doesn't write the movie that he's already written, that they've already said that they'll probably just buy the script, and if that's what I meant. Come on, you heard me, didn't you? So, basically, what it was James Gunn could probably just go, right, there's the script, give me $10 million and I'll go off and do something else, and Disney will probably go, fine. So that's probably the way they worked it. Problem being is that James Gunn is kind of the embodiment of the Guardians franchise. They're kind of like his movies.
Mm-hmm.
So since then, they've had nothing but problems, to the point that they announced Guardians 3, which upset everybody anyway because of the whole Avengers thing. Because they're like, well, how can there be a Guardians 3 if not? No spoilers. And then it's just been problem after problem after problem. So there's no wonder that Batista's gone, you sort your shit out, I'm going to go and do this. James Gunn, meanwhile, has a new film called Brightburn. And the premise of this film is, what if Superman was a bad guy? It's a horror movie that has the exact same story as Superman, but it's Superman's origin. But what if Superman as a child, got to a point and went, so I'm a god then? And then just goes around killing people. And the trailers are creepy as fuck. Like the new trailer. There's a bit in the first trailer that you like. I watched it on my phone, and then I watched it on like the TV and was like, never saw that on the phone. And there's another bit like that in the new trailer, and it's like,
I think that sounds awesome.
It looks brilliant. It's like Elizabeth Banks plays the mum, and like the kid's been in something like that, but it's proper, like, that's such a great premise, and it's proper because it's horror movie. It's a horror movie. So that was the Guardians.
Fair enough.
So with the storylines that are feeding into Fastlane,
Go.
the last stop. Definitely not, because there's Raws and SmackDowns in between. But the last pay-per-view stop on the road to WrestleMania.
And they will open the show, and it will. I guarantee that you could put it into like what is it, bingo, like Fastlane bingo. How quick will they say the phrase "the last stop on the road to WrestleMania"? I'd go within the first 30 seconds.
The fact that that's entrenched into us as people who watch it, and we are repeating it.
Are you thinking about pointing at the sign? Of course he is.
There'll be, if you are having a bingo card, they'd definitely have to have the old Michael Cole, "It's boss time" on there as well. He loves a bit of Sasha.
I sent
the big dog!
I sent Paul a message. I went to a gig the other night, and all the lights went down. And everyone was like, yeah! And all he heard was me and Gene go, "Let's get ready to rumble!" And I was like...
So the kick-off show for Fastlane was announced on SmackDown.
Is it by any chance a cruiserweight title match?
You, sir, are incorrect.
What the fuck?
Is it Continental Champion?
No.
Intercontinental Champion?
No. It's actually...
European Champion?
That's been retired years now.
Oh my god.
It's actually...
Stone Cold Champion?
Weirdly...
Stone Cold.
It could actually be... The kick-off is an hour. There is one match announced for it. If they could give it time if they want to. And it's Rey Mysterio versus Andrade. That could be an awesome match based on the matches they've had on SmackDown.
That is such bullshit.
What, the fact that I've said it's going to be good, or the fact...
No, don't bring...
I can't say I know this.
Don't bring Rey Mysterio back to the company and shan him off with putting him on the pre-show.
I think if they could, without being disrespectful, the women's tag team titles would have been the kickoff match, because the rest of the card actually reads pretty well. It would have either been the women's tag titles or the SmackDown women's title match. But as they were only created a month ago, I don't think they can quite take the shine off them so quickly.
No, they do need to be in that sort of position.
I feel like at this point I have to apologise to you, Paul, because I have skipped ahead somewhat, and we just have to read.
Not told us what day, what time, what.
Oh my God!
What the weather's going to be on that day?
After last time's podcast, where Paul, in fact, if you've not seen this page, Paul could tell me the fact that the last one was in a particular arena. Where is this one, Paul? We did mention the city last time around.
So I think I remember you earlier saying it's in Philadelphia.
No, that's wrong. He's got one wrong.
Pittsburgh?
No.
Texas?
No. The Raw last week was in Philly. Raw next week is in Pittsburgh. If you remember on the last podcast, we mentioned, due to the Miz and Shane storyline, that this one will end from Cleveland, Ohio.
The Cleveland Steelers.
So from the Eagles to the Steelers to the Browns is the way that one's going.
No.
Philly, Pittsburgh.
Yeah, so Eagles to the Browns, and then it's going to go to the Steelers on Monday.
No.
What?
It's Pittsburgh this Monday after Fastlane.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So yeah. You're right.
So it was in Philly.
Yeah.
Eagles. It's going to the Browns on Sunday. And then it'll be going to Steel City.
Two things about the pay-per-view itself.
Sloppy Roethlisberger.
In the first ever Fastlane took place in 2015. So it's only...
You son of a bitch.
Sorry. It's
Is that actually a question on the quiz?
It's not the first question, that's for sure.
It's only 4 years old. I won't tell you what the main event of that one was. Just
Please don't.
It's another quiz. But in three of the 5, including this one coming, have been in Ohio. 2 of them have been in Cleveland,
Yeah,
one in Columbus.
Oh, well, it's not weird, because they get into this pattern, don't they? Because they've had SummerSlam in New York for the last 40 years. Although that's changing this year, I didn't even realise.
But yeah, it's in Toronto, isn't it? But one thing as well, which I found odd, this close to WrestleMania, last night when I went on, just because I was having a look, not that I can actually get there, but you can still buy 4th row seats.
For WrestleMania?
No, for
this,
Fastlane.
I was going to say, Jesus Christ.
It's set you back $350 for those people that can
that's not that
jump
bad.
on a plane very quickly.
That's not that bad, really.
So we've got that's the kickoff match, the Mysterio Andrade. We've got the Raw tag titles, as mentioned earlier on, the Revival versus Aleister Black and Ricochet versus Chad Gable and Bobby Roode. Should be a reasonable match as well.
Yeah.
I hope.
To be honest, anything that's got Black and Ricochet in it's going to be good.
I think I know they've had the matches on Raw recently, but I think the interesting dynamic is between Black and Ricochet and the Revival, because it is the exact kind of opposite. But also Gable and Roode can both wrestle on a similar style to the Revival, so that's kind of quite an interesting dynamic for me.
Mm-hmm.
The women's tag titles, as we mentioned, Sasha and Bayley versus Nia and Tamina. The SmackDown Live tag team titles, the Usos versus Shane McMahon and The Miz, with Mr. Miz, as in Miz's dad, sitting ringside in his hometown.
I don't think he'll get involved in any way.
Weirdly, because they've got so many tag titles now, officially Fastlane is approximately 40% tag title matches.
Wow.
The Shield versus Corbin, McIntyre and Lashley. Becky Lynch, Charlotte Flair. Becky wins, she's going to WrestleMania. SmackDown Women's title, Asuka versus Mandy Rose. And finally, the Daniel Bryan, Kevin Owens WWE title match. Do we want to get to some predictions?
We do.
Do you want to go first, or do you want to go last, or do you want to sort of rotate between each match to keep it fresh?
Hit me with the first one.
Okay, so we'll go with the kickoff match first then. Mysterio versus...
Rey Mysterio. Next.
Okay. Paul, what are you going?
Given the matches I've seen in the past couple of weeks that they've had, I think Andrade's won the majority of them.
So Mysterio then?
So I'll go for Mysterio as well.
Okay. I am gonna throw in as well. We've got Mr. Moore's predictions already listed. So
He's come through with them this time.
Mr. Moore, because we haven't made a beer and got pissed this time. Mr. Moore has submitted Andrade with help from Zelina Vega, which I have to agree with. So we've got a 50-50 split on the kickoff. Next one, then we'll go with. Let's throw in the Raw Tag Title match: Revival versus Black and Ricochet versus Gable and Rude. Paul,
Revival to retain for me.
Okay.
Spread it out till WrestleMania.
Mr. Moore has gone with the same result. Andy?
So yeah, I quite like, as I've mentioned before, I quite like Ricochet's name.
Seriously, wait till you see his moves.
He's the guy, I think we mentioned last time, you've seen
He's
the
the
guy
flip
that...
guy.
Yeah. Have you seen his finish? He's going to kill himself. He's great to watch, but he makes me so nervous watching it, and that just makes me feel old as well. But his new and improved finisher, if you like, is called the 630, where he just rotates as many times as he possibly can.
You mentioned that.
But if he gets it kind of a little bit wrong, he's going to land on the top of his head. But still, it's cool to watch.
Again, I'm going to do it again because I know how annoying it is. I mentioned to you that Godsmack had done a song in conjunction with the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
There's a shot in the video where Gronk goes over and lands on like his head and neck on the side, and I'm like, I don't remember that, but like how some of them were walking around and stuff. Who was Ricochet with?
Alistair Black.
I like the sound of that.
Good finisher.
Yeah.
He's
I like the sound of that.
good.
Put me down for them guys.
Does like a sort of a spinning side kick, where it looks pretty brutal.
And it's
Spinning bird.
Called the Fade to Black.
It's called Fade to Black, and because he is Alistair Black,
Fade to Black.
Yeah, that's kind of his.
It is.
It's
sold.
That's the line that he.
Sold.
So basically, we've just found Andy's new favourite wrestler.
He is awesome.
He is fantastic.
It's from Amsterdam. It's called
Amsterdam.
the Dutch Destroyer.
This buying a blitz.
I'm also going to throw the Revival into the hat. I think they might change the tag titles at Mania, but not before.
Yeah, I think it just makes more sense to stretch it out to WrestleMania. Plus, they've played a bit of hot potato with the Raw tag titles at the minute.
I think it was
It needs to slow down a bit.
JR's podcast last week that he said about the reigniting of the tag division, but he couldn't. I mean, this is a guy who worked there for years and years and years. He said couldn't name the last 4 champions. I would agree. I just they've jumped it around too much. So the new women's tag title match. Let's go with that next.
That's not the new Daniel Bryan.
Mr. Moore has thrown Banks and Bailey in there to retain the titles that they won last time out. Paul's nodding.
I would agree on that one.
Okay. I am also agreeing on that one. Andy? They are fighting the face breaker, if that makes any difference.
See, I do like the face breaker. In fact, yeah, put me down for face breaker.
I'm actually going to face breaker in the predictions table.
Really? Oh, no.
For Andy.
I was going to say, I didn't think, what was it for you? I was like,
in possibly now the match that I just have no idea what the hell they're going to do with. The SmackDown Live Tag Team Championships. The Usos versus Shane McMahon and The Miz.
why don't you lead off with that one?
I have no... I just can't tell. I thought they would keep the titles on them last time out and then have like the team break up in The Miz's hometown.
Yeah, I mean,
That
we
made
pretty
sense.
much wrote that word.
Again, though, it's a case of the scenario we gave out was
better than
probably
what they did.
much better than what they're actually going to
I'm
do.
still waiting for that call, Vince.
I just don't know what they're going to do because it's The Miz's hometown, his dad's at ringside, they're building it up to be this big fanfare of they're going to win the titles and his dad's going to be so proud. Is that going to happen?
It just, right, so the whole reason why they've brought his dad into it smacks of a reason why he's been brought into it for a reason, and I'm assuming that reason is to be the catalyst for Miz to basically go back heel.
You think? And you think Shane McMahon's going to pull it?
Yeah, there'll be something that Shane does that'll set Miz off, or there'll be something that Miz's dad does to Shane that'll make Miz go, this is ridiculous or something like that. But I don't know how they're going to do it, but there'll be something that, yeah, I'll be expecting a Miz heel turn at this particular point.
I'm gonna go with the Usos to retain.
Yeah, I am as well.
Because my main question out of all of this might sound a little bit odd, but what are the Bar gonna do at WrestleMania if they're not in a tag team title match?
Yeah.
So I think the Miz and Shane will still fight at WrestleMania. I'm just a bit unsure of how they'll get there just yet. Mr. Moore agrees on the Usos retaining. You in agreement as well? What are we thinking?
Hold that thought.
Do you want to give us your prediction before you?
Did I not say Usos?
You're gonna go Usos, yeah?
Yeah, I just think it doesn't make any sense for it to not keep the belt. Plus, it opens up the McMahon Miz storyline to actually continue to WrestleMania.
See, I'm feeling like I want to go against the grain on this one because you've all gone the same way. But going back to what we were saying, that I felt that we'd written a slightly better storyline. To me, it still makes sense for them to have the belt going into WrestleMania.
I was talking briefly with Paul earlier on about this, and I think if they did that and had like the destruction of the team at WrestleMania,
that makes the most sense for the best storyline at the biggest event of the year.
And it gives them something to carry forward to even as far as SummerSlam or further if they really
you
want
screwed
to.
me at WrestleMania because we were champions and you. So I'm going to go with Shane and the Miz.
Okay.
To get the belts, so that when they go to WrestleMania, it makes more sense. Because to me, if when they lost the belts, they could have just disbanded that whole thing and just moved on. So there has to be somebody in a writing room somewhere has written something, and like we said at the time, we'd written a reasonably good storyline that featured them going to WrestleMania with the belts.
The way that it went down when they lost was like the Miz took the pinfall and was just apologetic to Shane. He's like, "Oh, I'm really sorry, and I've let you down." They've obviously, because Shane's in charge, they've just walked straight back into a rematch. Shane made the match. They've had it in the story that Shane was the one that invited the Miz's dad. So is it going to be?
I agree that that's obviously got to be something to do with it. That like Paul said, there's a reason that's happening, and the hometown and all that. So part of me feels like whether they just go with, "Oh, his dad's there when he gets the titles back," sort of thing.
This is why I'm so torn on it, because I agree with everything you've just said, and then I just, like you said, I just think, what are the Bar going to do? What are the other tag teams on SmackDown doing at WrestleMania? Unless they're just going to go into the Andre the Giant Battle Royal.
Yeah. As well, they've got a lot of history of you're in your own hometown, you're gonna get shafted. They'd like to do that.
It was just to throw back to history. JR is a prime example of that. He's been put in numerous matches, even though as a commentator in his hometown. I think he was also made to kiss Vince McMahon's ass in his hometown. So they do have that history of, as Paul says, shafting people.
I mean, I've completely not even thought about the possibility that since he's been back, Shane hasn't been a bad guy.
As I said, I think Shane could be the bad guy in this
situation. That wouldn't surprise me, because there was something that happened a couple of months back
that would officially tie the McMahons up as two heels and two faces.
But it was weird because there was something that he did that smacked of some sort of heel tendency. I can't think what it was now, but it's escaped my mind. But there was definitely something that he did that was very heelish, and I can't remember what it was.
Well,
I think it was in the Daniel Bryan story.
I was going to say there was a lot of times in the Daniel Bryan thing where they disagreed.
Yeah,
and there was always that tendency that they could go against each other, but then they ended up teaming together, didn't they? For Daniel Bryan's return.
I think it was then, but either way, I don't think they're going to win it.
So leading on then, the Shield, the newly reformed Shield versus Baron Boring, Lashley and McIntyre. The whole return of Roman Reigns is the big talking point out of that one.
Mm.
It was really well done.
And for, obviously everybody knows why he's not been there and everybody knows that side of it. So what makes the most sense is a win.
Mm-hmm. I don't really think you can... If they don't win, it's fairly obvious who's going to suffer the pinfall or the submission, whichever way they go for it. It'll obviously be Dean Ambrose.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't really see how if he's actually going to be wrestling in a match. I don't know. I mean, obviously you would expect that he had done, but he definitely looked like he'd lost a bit of muscle mass on his arms, which is understandable.
There's been also, and one thing I have to commend him on actually is, he's come back and people are like, he hardly looks any different. This guy's been through like cancer treatment. Why does he not look any different? And they've not just WWE, but some of the cancer charities in America have gone out of their way to say, look, these are the reasons why he doesn't look different, because different types of cancer basically don't
affect you in different
ways. Yeah, you're not guaranteed to lose your hair. You're not guaranteed to lose weight.
I mean, the hair thing's through treatment,
Yeah.
Do you go through chemo for leukemia? I don't know.
I would have thought.
I mean, the treatments are different for different types of cancer across the
Yeah.
board, aren't they? Sometimes you can just go with radiation. Sometimes it's
transfusion things.
Yeah, chemo. Sometimes it's both. Sometimes it's.
But he is the ultimate superhero now.
Yeah.
He's beaten this life-threatening disease.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He's the hero that they wanted him to be the first time around, except for the fans will actually cheer him now.
Yeah.
And it's sad that it's taken such.
Yeah, it is. It's awful. It's
thing.
awful that it's taken a life-threatening illness for him to finally sort of get accepted by the fans. That shouldn't have been the way.
The other thing being is between his own doctors and the WWE doctors and any trainers and things like that, they will have put a program together that says, you are here, you're going to drop like this, you're going to go like this, your weight's going to go like this, your muscle's going to go like this, and here is the program that gets you back to stage ready.
Because he's been, is it 5 months he's been out?
It was October, I think, was it?
So
when he gave the announcements of that.
It's just remarkable. I know, like, he's an athlete, he trains, his body's probably in a much better condition than if I got it. Touch wood. I wouldn't, but it doesn't, you can't put it down. He's done amazingly well to get through it, like he has. So, I can't see it any other way than a Shield win.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't make any sense for it to be anything else.
Mr. Moore,
stick me down for the same.
Mr. Moore also agrees that's a clean sweep, unsurprisingly, for the Shield, which will lead us on to the SmackDown Women's Title match. Asuka versus Mandy Rose. 2 questions here. 1, who's going to win? 2, does anybody really think it's going to be Mandy Rose? Mandy Rose is the old school, or the newer version, if you like, of Trish Stratus. So, like, that's what they're kind of billing her as.
Well, she's sort of, yeah, I mean,
she's
probably
very
quite
blonde.
similar. She
She's
came
kinda
in,
short.
she's quite pretty. She's got ample assets.
Corey Graves
she's
describes her
blonde.
on commentary every week as God's greatest creation.
Oh, God. She's not very talented wrestling, but she is getting better.
She is getting better. She's in a tag team with somebody who is a much better wrestler than she is, though, so they're pushing the wrong person on wrestling ability, but...
It's another one of those ones that it doesn't make any sense for Asuka to lose the title this soon.
No.
So it's just how decent a match she can get out of Mandy.
It wouldn't surprise me if they almost not a move for move carbon copy, but if it was under 3 minutes again this time round.
Yeah, I hope it's not. I hope they try and get a good sort of 7-8 minutes out of it, just to sort of see if she can actually go for a bit. But yeah, I don't know whether it'll work that way.
I'm gonna say Asuka's gonna win, but it wouldn't surprise me if they pull a DQ finish.
Yeah.
And then extend it onto a multi-person match. Because as much as I feel like I've said multi-person match at WrestleMania a lot tonight, WrestleMania ultimately they want to get as many people on the card as they can. So
it's really weird. This year just doesn't feel like So we're what? 4 weeks out from WrestleMania?
Yeah, less than... It was. They put the graphic up about 35 days at the weekend. So
If I was hard pressed to put a card together, at this point I think I could give you 3 nailed on matches. That's about it.
the ones that they've already announced.
Yeah. Seriously, it just feels like everything this sort of year has just been. There's all the wrestlers. There's a big bowl.
They've had like, and I'm not.
There's the first one. There's the second one.
I don't want to sound like fanboy sticking up for them, but they've had a lot to deal with this time in the sense of they probably didn't factor Reigns coming back so soon into that.
Suppose
so
no,
quickly.
fair enough.
There's been injuries galore. They've released a few of the.
I think
lower card
the
guys.
point is though is that they've got that many players that they should really be able to cope with injuries.
But well, Kofi Kingston.
They should always have a ready-made replacement to slot straight in at that point. And
as we were saying before, that guy's been in the company 11 years. He's won numerous United States Intercontinental Tag Team Championships.
Mm-hmm.
It took him 2 weeks to make him a valid contender for the
Yeah,
WWE title. Something they've not done with him in 11 years. So if they can do that in 2 weeks for him, that is they've got more players than anyone else. So they definitely could do that. So yeah, going back to the SmackDown Women's title, I'm sticking Asuka down for a win, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was a DQ. Mr. Moore has also gone at Asuka.
I've spent most of the evening trying to go against the trend, but yeah.
Go on, Asuka?
Yeah.
again, I just don't think it doesn't make any sense for it to be the other way around. So
Clean sweep. So, 2 more matches to predict. Do you want to do the title match, or do you want to do the Becky?
leave the women's match till last.
Okay.
I think just because it's the one that's got the most compelling storyline to it.
And my other question then on the back of that is, do you think that WWE will do the same thing on Sunday? Will Becky and Charlotte headline the pay-per-view, or will it be the WWE title?
It should be the WWE title match.
It always should be the WWE title match, or the women's title match.
Yeah. It shouldn't be a match that has no... I know that's got a stipulation attached to it and it's got something to fight for, but it's not a direct title match.
Mm-hmm. So, having said that, you still want to leave the women's title, the women's match till last.
Yeah, just because I think it's got more to discuss around it, personally.
So, the aforementioned Kevin Owens versus Daniel Bryan, Andy's favourite vegan. Did you actually,
with his hemp title?
On the note of the title, did you see this week that AJ Styles at a house show went into the crowd and pulled out someone's custom title that it was, you know, we'd mentioned about them making a blue one because they have a red one for Raw. A fan made it and they had it on blue leather, and AJ went into the crowd, held it up in the ring after the main event of the house show, and then went and signed it for the guy afterwards as well.
Awesome.
At ringside. So the fact that they've actually made reference to a blue title now, it's got to be going that way at some point.
You'd imagine so.
Which is good because it means the WWE title might be a little cheaper for me to buy. Don't listen to this, Sarah.
I can't wait for that card. Because you'll realise before it comes up, you're like,
no.
Oh, I'm really bored of listening to this. Let's just turn it. Oh no, it's happened.
So leading into the main, what's going to be the WrestleMania WWE title match, do we think they'll switch it to Kevin Owens?
No.
Are we getting a dodgy finish?
No. I'll be amazed if Kofi's not involved in the finish in one way or the other.
Well, I also agree, because they weren't on SmackDown this week due to them being on the promo tour in India where they've been doing the tryouts. They sent the whole of the New Day there, but they still put out a video on this week's SmackDown to say they will be at Fastlane.
Yeah.
They don't have a match. What else are they going to do?
Exactly.
They'll be around during that match. Will it be, though, so that they can stop Rowan from interfering and KO take the title? Or will Daniel Bryan keep the title?
I don't think so. Again, it's another one of these ones. It doesn't make any sense for Bryan to lose the title this close to WrestleMania. So I'll go for Owens to win, but by DQ.
Ooh, okay. That's a bold one. I'm going for Daniel Bryan to win. Purely, again, for the fact they've got the new belt, they ain't changing it so quickly.
Yeah, exactly.
Mr. Moore has gone Daniel Bryan as well. The big question of the evening, can Andy feasibly pick the vegan?
See, this is the issue.
Part of his brethren.
Because now I'm like, well, the whole thing about the title makes a lot of sense. But can I? Honestly?
It'd be like picking Simon, wouldn't it?
It could.
For anything.
It's a very, one might say it's a very meaty decision to make.
Oh, I like it. Very good wordplay. Nice. I like it.
I'm honestly, I'm torn.
Well, you can do what I did. You can pick Kevin Owens to win, but not necessarily win by a method that would win him the title.
Yeah, I kind of like that.
I mean, it's the sort of thing. It's the classic finish that they seem to love to do when they don't know how else to finish the storyline. So it's a case of, well,
that's the point. Though,
if Kevin Owens is just
in the storyline, it's
Kevin Owens has just come, yeah, but it's a case they don't know how to get out of it. Is what I mean. So Kevin Owens has just come back. Ideally, we don't want to beat him, but he's not ready to put. We're not ready to put the title on him. Right, so he has to win, but not in a method that he would win the title. We'll just have Daniel Bryan suck him off or something like that to draw the disqualification.
I know it's a pay-per-view technically, Paul, but what pay-per-views have you been watching?
It's an 18 plus, isn't it?
Oh dear, it's PG show, people. PG. So leading on then, the last one. Although Paul wanted to leave this to last, I think this is the easiest to predict. There is absolutely no way that Becky Lynch is walking out of there, and that's not because she's got a dicky knee, but there is no way she's not walking out of there with a win.
So, isn't Becky Lynch the man?
Becky Lynch is the man. That is
so
right.
when you started that, when you were like, and it's not because she's got a dicky knee, I was like,
where's he going?
Because all I heard was, because she's got a dick and can't walk, because, you know.
It's like, not. It's not. It was on TV the other night. They were replaying the Ali G film. It's not that kind of back up to the trail.
Oh dear.
So unsurprisingly, I am going Becky Lynch. Mr. Moore also gone Becky Lynch. I would suggest everybody in the entire planet that has any kind of interest in this will also pick Becky Lynch.
Oh.
Don't be a dick, Paul.
I'm not trying to be a dick, but I'm trying to second guess him.
Right.
So,
all I want to say at this point is, do you know how many times we've done what makes the most sense? And then we sit here and go, so remember when we said that it made the most sense? Yeah, they've done the opposite of that.
But this is the thing. They'll definitely put Becky in the title match.
Yeah,
WrestleMania.
regardless of what happens in this event, she's in the title match at WrestleMania. Because if they don't, I honestly think there will be some people there who will just go, do you know what? Fuck this. I'm not watching anymore. They've had enough chances to sort of do decent stuff, and they're just not doing it.
They've built the women's division to the point they're at now. They've got somebody who crosses over the WWE, UFC, general kind of famousness. They've got all the eyes on that, and they've got somebody who they've been getting hot to get to the main event.
Mm-hmm.
So the women can main event WrestleMania for the first time, and then if they then get to the pay-per-view before and go, I think that would turn too many people off. I agree with you on that. I don't think necessarily that Becky Lynch might win at WrestleMania, controversially.
Do you not reckon?
I think that's the point, because they've got to the point at the end of the story. They need to keep people watching. Are they gonna do it whereby Ronda goes off into the sunset for a little while, but Charlotte takes the title, and then they've got the whole Charlotte? That's a little bit further down the line for another conversation, but I think if there's going to be a kind of twist in the story in that respect, so that it's not going to go the way that people want it to, I think that would be when it would be, not now.
So my only point is, so the stipulation in the match is what?
Becky wins, she's in the title match. Charlotte wins, Becky's not in the title match.
So just give us that again.
So if Becky wins, she's in the title match.
There's the point. So this is exactly one of those cases where they can do a screwy finish where Becky doesn't win the match. So, but she doesn't lose the match either. They just, for some reason, something happens. It's either a double disqualification or a double count out, or it's a no finish basically. So she hasn't won the match, but she hasn't lost the match either.
But the stipulation is she has to win.
Right. Okay.
To get in.
So then what I'm saying is they've got 4 weeks then to continue the build to WrestleMania. Do you know what I mean? There's just something about it that doesn't sit right with me. It's because
that's a storyline that writes itself for the next 4 weeks.
It's this thing of like, if Becky wins, she's in the title match at WrestleMania. It's not as cut and dry as that, I don't think.
I can't believe we've got to this point in the night as well and haven't mentioned this week's Twitter.
Oh my God.
Becky Lynch and Ronda Rousey's Twitter this week has been hilarious.
Seriously, so just for the last 6 months alone, probably longer, Becky Lynch has been the best thing to follow on Twitter. Regardless of if you watch wrestling or not.
She affectionately calls Ronda Rousey, she affectionately calls her Ronnie.
It was a bio the other week or something. It was like Ronnie's shook, Vince's shook, Charlotte's something. It was like
Charlotte's a dope and
shook. It was well funny. She's just absolutely. So the best thing she came out with was about, I think it was before Christmas. She put something on, blah 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 blah. Becky Lynch, WWE superstar, blah 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 blah. Just waiting for the day that Charlotte Flair starts calling herself the Woo Man. Literally 6 weeks later, Charlotte comes out with something along the lines of "I'm the Woo Man." So she's tweeted over this over the top of it, which was like, "Fuck's sake," or something like that.
There was a thing on Twitter this week between them. First off, the one of the latest things she's posted was her going to UFC to watch with Seth Rollins, Renee Young, and some other guy who I don't know. And she went wearing a T-shirt that says "I own Ronnie" on it. So she's been seen out in public with that. But there was an exchange between Rousey and Becky Lynch where Ronda Rousey was basically calling Becky Lynch out for having a fake armbar. So Becky Lynch said, "Don't use the F word around me."
Take it easy on the F word.
Ronda Rousey said that you obviously like to call yourself the man, and having the arm between your legs like that looks like a dick. Becky Lynch responded by photoshopping a picture of Ronda Rousey's husband's face onto the end of that arm and saying, "Yes, you're right, it now does look like a dick."
Oh. To which Ronda Rousey came back with Rebecca Quinn, so used her real name. "I don't care what the script says. The next time I see you, I'm going to beat the shit out of you."
So it was been pretty entertaining.
Oh, seriously, so funny, so good.
It's well worth a follow.
Like seriously, to say she's the most popular person in the company is an understatement. I'd say it's borderline that she's about the same popularity now as Daniel Bryan was when we went to WrestleMania.
Yeah.
They're probably at the same level. And he was like, when people say nuclear heat, is there a sort of a positive? Massive pops.
Yeah.
Like seriously, as soon as a like music plays, or as soon as she comes out, or she's like, as soon as she's seen in the audience or something like that, the place just erupts. It's just going. Like,
she's had comparisons to Stone Cold. I think it's probably a little too early for that.
That's going a bit overboard.
Yeah.
But certainly Daniel Bryan 2014 or 2013-14.
It's
Daniel
got
Bryan.
that a little bit of the anti-establishment thing about it, which is why they've said that, I guess. But yeah, she's definitely the main event. I think the main event. Anyway, Paul, you didn't give us a definitive answer.
I'd like to put no contest.
Okay.
So it's just I think it's just the fact that they've given this, if Becky wins, she's in the title match. It's the fact that they've said if. I know that's obviously just phrasing and stuff like that, but yeah, I just think there's something about it that the storyline's not done yet, and they've still got 4 weeks to build it.
Me?
I fully agree with this.
So put him down for a Charlotte win.
But
working on our track record of being able to write hands down the best wrestling storylines, and then them just going with the, we just did this. I'm now thinking, although that works perfectly well, the if, it's all in the words, it's all how you say it and all that. That sounds like, it sounds good. And
they probably won't do
it's generally not how they do things. I don't know.
Tough on it.
Just put me down for Becky. But I want this on record, as it is on record, that
it's literally on record.
I did agree with.
He did.
Mr. Williams.
He did say that.
Okay, so that's everybody's predictions all locked in. If you guys are listening along, if you've got predictions, let us know.
Send us your predictions.
Send us on Twitter.
We'll add them to the.
Share them on Insta twat. Just do whatever you want.
One of the. It's not research. It's just something I saw that I haven't mentioned up to this point. I thought I'd just get in because I did actually do a bit of stuff and watch a few videos and things. Have you seen this thing about the midnight workouts?
No.
Triple H and Stephanie McMahon's midnight workout.
They do like the trolley pushes and the rope stuff and
Battle ropes.
So they do their workout at midnight. So their trainer,
Joe DeFranco,
has been getting all of this Twitter and all these people like, what's the relevance of the midnight workout? What is it? Is it the best time to work out? Do you get the best results at midnight? And he's like, this has been going on for ages, and he's like, so the relevance of the midnight workout is
that's the time they have.
That's the time they can work out, and that is it. That is the only reason. So now watch this video of them working out at midnight, and it was like, well yeah, that's how it is.
Seriously, the work ethic in that family is outrageous. It's unbelievable. Literally, and to say that they've got kids as well. They've got 3 daughters.
Yeah, that was the reason. It was like, so they work until X time. They get home, they do family tea, get the kids to bed, then it's time to work out. And that's like midnight. That's why it's midnight workout.
Crazy.
They've got a massive dog that they've called Andre as well. It's huge.
Oh.
Yeah. So yeah, that is the predictions on every team.
Predictions in the book.
Have we got time for anything else? How long have we been going?
I believe we've done about 1 hour and 40.
I can offer you 10.
Was it 11?
No, because I did check, and you were skirting. But
I'm going to go from the opposite end of my book.
Ooh.
No, come on.
I'll go for the next page.
Right.
Is it
So I can offer you 10 fast lane questions.
Okay. Is it like, are you just going to read them more quickly than?
I'd love to. I'd love to read them quickly, but
If we have to ask you for the options 18 times.
Oh my god, they're long questions.
Right. Okay. Right. So 10 questions is quiz time, people.
quiz time. Play
along at
send,
home.
send us your scores. Question number 1.
Question number 1.
Question.
Thanks to Stu for giving the setup for this one. The first ever WWE Fastlane pay-per-view took place on the last Sunday of February 2015.
True or false?
The only championship not being defended was the WWE World Heavyweight Championship.
Mm-hmm.
Who, at the time, held the title? Your 4 options are, and I can tell you that they look to be all multiple choice. Was it Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns, Randy Orton, or
John Cena?
Title match.
2015, you said.
I did say that.
Excuse me.
2015.
Question number 2. The first match was a 6-man tag team match consisting of The Authority, Kane, Rollins, and Big Show versus Ziggler, Ryback, and Rowan. It was a dominant victory for The Authority, who continued to beat up their opponents after the match. But which WWE superstar stopped them? Was it Randy Orton, The Rock, Sting, or The Undertaker?
God, I really have no recollection of this
I'm guessing at this.
Question number 3. In the second match of the night, Goldust fought his brother Stardust in a 1-on-1 grudge match, despite their father trying to persuade them not to. In what way did Goldust win this match? Was it submission, pinfall, disqualification, or count out? Question number 4. Tyson Kidd and Cesaro won their tag team titles at the Royal Rumble and defended them at Fastlane against which WWE tag team? Was it the Usos, the New Day, the Shield, or Los Matadores? Los Matadores?
Oh, there were people I wish I could forget about.
Question number 5. WCW icon Sting had been calling out Triple H since the 2014 Survivor Series. He finally got his match at Fastlane, or so he thought. Triple H attempted to bargain with Sting, but then attacked him with a sledgehammer. With what weapon did Sting reply?
I think we're alright for that one.
Yeah, you don't have to give us the options on that one.
Okay. Number 6. Nikki Bella beat Paige to defend her Divas Championship in the shortest match of the night. True or false? Number 7. Bad News Barrett was a controversial champion, to say the least. He attempted to leave mid-match to retain his championship, but the lunatic fringe Dean Ambrose would not allow it. How did this match end? Ambrose wins via disqualification. Barrett win via pinfall. Barrett win via disqualification. Or Ambrose won via pinfall. Question number 8. The Undertaker returned, or so we thought. His trademark casket was rolled down the ramp and next to the ring, and when everyone expected the dead man to emerge from it, it was which WWE superstar? Was it Brock Lesnar, Mark Henry, Luke Harper, or Bray Wyatt?
Can't remember why, but I'm good for that.
Number 9. Rusev versus John Cena for the United States Championship. The Master of Submission versus the Unsubmittable Man. Cena only lost when he passed out to what Rusev trademark submission hold?
I think we might be alright.
Yeah, don't give us the options on that one.
And your last one. The main event was Roman Reigns versus Daniel Bryan. And the winner would become the number 1 contender for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. In this match, there were suicide dives, running knees, Superman punches, surfboard holds, apron drop kicks, and spears. Who won this match? Was it a draw, Daniel Bryan, Roman Reigns, or neither?
Just give us the options to number 2 again.
So it was who stopped the Authority beatdown, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Randy Orton, The Rock, Sting, or The Undertaker?
Can I have the tag options from number 4? Just the teams.
The Usos, The New Day, The Shield, Los Matadors.
I'm going to pick the one that I would have wanted to watch at the time. This could be bad.
Right, are we ready?
I've had to change my answer to 2 based on something based on a question that happened later on.
First ever Fastlane was last Sunday of February 2015. The only championship not being defended was the World Heavyweight Champion, who at the time held that title. Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns, Randy Orton, John Cena.
Your favourite?
Keeping with the theme that he doesn't turn up.
The Beast.
Brock Lesnar.
Brock Lesnar.
Broccoli. Lesnar. First match was a 6-man tag match consisting of the Authority, Kane, Rowan's Big Show, Ziggler, Ryback and Rowan. It was a dominant victory for the Authority, who continued to beat up their opponents after the match. But what WWE star stopped them? Was it Randy Orton, The Rock, Sting or The Undertaker?
I've gone for a gut feeling of Mr. Randall Keith Orton.
So I put Sting originally, but I then realised that Sting didn't do it because he got involved with Triple H later on, as we found out in question 5. So I've changed it to Randy Orton because I believe it set up their WrestleMania 31 match with him and...
Out of nowhere, it was Randy Orton.
Because it set up the Rollins-Randy Orton match at 31.
Oh, that was with the wicked curb stomp.
So at the end, at the time, Seth Rollins' finishing move was the curb stomp.
It is again now.
It is back to being that. And he went for the curb stomp, but Randy Orton basically stood up and turned it into an RKO.
It like boosted.
At the time, it was insane. It was really good. Right, this is where it gets a bit sketchy.
Right, number 3. In the second match of the night, Goldust fought his brother Stardust in a one-on-one grudge match despite their father trying to persuade them not to. In what way did Goldust win this match?
See, I've put DQ, but I'm now thinking that Stardust just walks out.
I've gone count out.
Did he pin him?
It was a pinfall.
Oh.
Tyson Kidd and Cesaro won their tag team titles at the Royal Rumble and defended them at Fastlane against which WWE tag team?
Potshot Usos.
Yeah, it was either them or the second one you said.
It was the Usos.
Yes.
So it was.
I know. I don't like this. I'm behind.
WCW icon Sting had been calling out Triple H since the 2014 Survivor Series. He finally got his match at the Fastlane, or so he thought. Triple H attempted to bargain with Sting and attacked him with a sledgehammer. Which weapon did Sting reply with?
Acoustic guitar.
He didn't really write that. One of Sting's trademarks is the old baseball bat.
Who's the correct answer? Nikki Bella beat Paige to defend her Divas Championship in the shortest match of the night. True or false?
False.
False as well.
No, you're both wrong.
Oh, balls.
Bad News Barrett was a controversial champion, to say the least. He attempted to leave mid-match to retain his championship, but the lunatic fringe Dean Ambrose would not allow it. How did the match end?
So, Ambrose can't have won because Barrett was the champion going into Mania.
See, I couldn't remember that. All I could remember from the WrestleMania was when Bryan won the
ladder
Intercontinental title. So I did go Ambrose pinfall, but now that you've said that,
I've gone Barrett via pinfall, but I'm getting the feeling it's Barrett via DQ now.
Maybe you should have put that.
Bastard.
So you got that wrong officially. That's
Yeah.
good. Me too.
Whoa, we don't do Me Too in this house. The Undertaker returned.
I think we could be on for a tie.
Yeah. Or so we thought. His trademark casket was rolled down the ramp and next to the ring, and when everyone expected the dead man to emerge from it, it was which
Diesel.
WWE
Fake Undertaker.
superstar?
Was he potentially following the buzzards?
I don't think he's going to get that.
Did he have the whole world in his
I
hands?
don't think he's going to get that either.
I get both of those.
Oh,
Is he the eater of
He is the eater of
pies?
worlds.
get in there.
Yes.
So it was.
Mark Henry.
Yeah. He's just the eater.
For you
of
at home,
everything.
it was Bray Wyatt.
The eater of
Rusev versus John Cena for the United States Championship. The Master of Submission versus the Unsubmittable Man. Cena only lost when he passed out to what Rusev trademark submission hold?
There are two things about this question.
Oh, hello.
One, that is the first time John Cena's ever been called a master of submission, seeing as he has.
Oh, no. No, Rusev was the master of submission.
Uh,
And Cena was the unsubmittable man, I imagine.
Well, I suppose it's hard to make him submit if he can't see him.
Yeah.
And the second thing is, the move is called the Accolade, but as he essentially rubs himself all over Cena's back, I would like to put forward a motion to rename this the Saccolade.
Wow. It is the accolade. And the final question, although I suspect by the sounds of it there might be a need for a tiebreaker.
Could be.
Oh,
Could
no.
well be.
The main event was Roman Reigns versus Daniel Bryan. And the winner would become the number one contender for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. In this match, there were suicide dives, running knees, Superman punches, surfboard holds, apron drop kicks, and spears. Who won this match?
Neither. The Rock probably came in and stole the spotlight, like this guy probably always thinks he does.
That's because he actually does. But on this occasion, it was his relative, Mr. Roman Reigns / Big Dog.
It was Roman Reigns.
Starting to claim his old yard, isn't it? You know, that old chestnut.
Well, because that set up what then became the cash-in, didn't it?
Oh yeah, you won some money on that, didn't you?
I did win some money on that. Bastard.
I believe we've both
Is there
scored
a
7
tie?
on 10.
There is a tie. We've got 7. 7.
7?
Can I not just be given that as soon as you did last time?
Well, you never know. You might get the tiebreaker right.
Or I might not. It'll be what was the attendance at Fastlane?
Oh, it's definitely going to be that.
Is it?
And Paul will know it for like the 10.
I definitely will not. If you give us the arena, though, that might be.
And what time it started and how much the ticket price was.
So, doing a search.
Everyone's favourite friend Wikipedia will have that.
Yeah, I was going to say it will be on Wikipedia.
And then if you could use Wikipedia to conveniently change it to whatever I say it is, that would help me massively.
What if I take some words out?
What are you looking for?
You can't look for it, because otherwise you'll know the answer. What was the attendance not?
Well,
I think, wasn't it in the event of a tie, I just win?
I mean, we could do that if you want.
Oh,
Has he found it?
there's an eyebrow raise that I hope is not a nod to.
What I will say is I've just seen a quiz that's called "Can you match these logos to the wrestlers?"
Yeah.
I might have to dip into my other quiz.
Well, no, just if you just are you struggling to find the actual event on Wikipedia?
No, I'm just struggling to find a tiebreaker question.
We'll just do the attendance.
If you put WWE Fastlane 2015,
Yeah, it'll come up, and then the attendance should be in the sort of the drop down bit
you'd put
after the tagline.
But why do I get the feeling that you already know this? That's why I was looking.
I swear to God, I've not got a clue.
if he gets this like within a few, that is bullshit.
So essentially, you have to throw this quiz.
I have to kind of get it right, but
Right,
not close,
okay.
not too close.
So, on February 22nd, 2015, what was the attendance?
I thought you said it was February. I thought you said it was the last day of February.
No, the last
week.
Sunday.
Oh, where was
What?
What was the venue?
Probably Cleveland.
Was it the Quicken Loans Arena in Cleveland?
Because that's where it is this week.
No.
Was it one of the ones that was in Columbus? So it was Cleveland.
Was it not in Ohio at all?
It was in Ohio, because... Ohio. If it wasn't in Ohio...
Was it say there?
I don't want to give too much because I know what you're like.
What?
I know what you like.
This is
Just
bullshit.
let's just get this. Come on.
Go on then.
What was the attendance?
I've got an answer.
Do you have an answer?
Yeah.
Do you have an answer?
I do now. I think I've gone a bit too high.
Go on then.
I've gone 17,631.
I have gone 16,127.
This is about £1,000, isn't it?
So by default, Stu wins.
Because there's only 14,000 people there?
Even less.
Wow.
Oh, okay.
13.
Oh, right, so not many.
263.
I thought I'd gone a bit too fast.
That ties up the quiz. 1-1.
Where is the previous quiz? These are books and
Mine's on Erlich. It was Paul 1-0. I only got 4 last time because it was really hard the Royal Rumble quiz.
Oh, don't you worry. It's still there in the bank, waiting for the rest
Money
of
in the bank.
Waiting for you to answer the next 20 questions.
I'll just you wait for the WrestleMania
So
quiz.
is this 1-1?
1-1.
1-1.
1-1.
Juicy.
I feel a little bit better now.
That's juicy.
There, apparently, I'm just briefly mentioning Money in the Bank. I think they've brought forward Money in the Bank in the pay-per-view schedule this year, so it's going to be a little earlier. I think it's like there's one in between WrestleMania and Money in the Bank.
Well, there's something there. I didn't have a chance to read it, but there's something there saying that Fastlane was used to replace Elimination Chamber.
It was.
Yeah, I think it originally first got brought in, and then they obviously realised they couldn't use Elimination Chamber.
I think because they did the brand split for a while, they had one as Elimination Chamber and then the other as Fastlane.
Yeah, that's true.
And then they've brought it back round to them both been together now. So I believe, just on the stats, that there was 1 Raw, 1 SmackDown, and now 3 joint efforts for Fastlane. That was part of my research. That was it. So, are we done?
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us once again.
With the newly named...
Newly titled Cookiecast Presents.
Cookiecast Presents.
Getting over.
Getting over.
Let's see if it does.
Hopefully so.
Yeah. Right. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Au revoir. Till next time. No.
No?
No, it's still flashing. There we go.
So there you go, the Getting Over podcast in the bag. So yeah, like I mentioned before, this is going to be a regular thing or semi-regular. Basically, it's the pay-per-views. We've done a few already. It's not the first time we've done a wrestling podcast, but yeah, it's becoming more and more frequent. So we've basically made it a thing. So yeah, the Getting Over podcast. Look for it in the future. Anybody who's watching us on YouTube, let's make that a YouTube subscription, shall we? Drop us a little comment as well while you're there. Like our video. Like and share. Let's do that. Everybody should jump over to thecookiecast.com, check out our social media feeds, send us an email, check out our website and all of that. So yeah, tell your friends about the podcast, share it where you can, all that sort of stuff, and give us a shout. Cool. So there we go. Another one in the bag, and I'm going to see you next time. So I'll say bye.